Welcome back. We just heard from our distinguished panelists just now about the steps that has been taken, that is already being taken to narrow the gap in order to produce more Lee Chong Weis and Nicol Davids. But I'm interested to know whether this so-called issue, is it only locally, or is it only specialized to squash and badminton, or is it a global threat? Is it happening throughout the world? Are we lacking youngsters coming up and taking over, taking over from the previous stars of their respective country? Is it a common thing that is happening everywhere? I mean, you have traveled a lot, Azlan, so...
I think everyone knows that, if you're a successful athlete, you're going to be pretty much very well off all around the world. I think guys like Usain Bolt in sprinting, I think he showed that he's the superstar. You've got Kobe in basketball, you've got a lot of superstar athletes, and I don't think it's a trend that's dropping per se, but I think a few sports are leveraging more. So I think football. I think football is a great sport, and I think a lot of people follow football. But also the earning capabilities of a football player is great. I think it's really positive. To some extent, it's a lot of money. Tennis stars, etc., etc. So I don't think it's a youth overall. I don't think youths are not. I don't think they're interested. I think it's just a few sports have a certain up on other sports in terms of the industry of the sport. Yeah.
What about Chinchai? What do you think?
I think in our country, mainstream sports is facing a lot of competition from a lot of distractions, because previously, if you look back at 30 years ago, I think most school kids can play at least one or another sport. In fact, most of them can play a few sports. Now we are facing a lot of threat by a lot of distractions like TV, video games, computers, and other parlor games. So I think it's not very good, not very healthy for the young people. But I think Ministry of Education is aware of this, and they started this one Satu Murid Satu Sukan, where they are trying to implement all students take up at least one sport. So I think this is a good initiative, and we hope in time to come the trend will change. It's something like Australia, where it's actually a sporting nation where everybody is involved in sports.
Yeah, but I also think a lot of the computer games are also sports. So I think people need to realize that it's a win-win. So you're actually opening up the minds of the kids by playing computer games. I don't think it's a distraction per se, but you got to look at it a positive point of view.
Maybe Chinchai is trying to say that more people spend time on sitting and playing computer rather than being on the field or being on the court or being, and playing the game physically.
Yes and no.
Do you find that, Choong Hann? I mean, you have a lot of juniors coming to your academy. Do you see the number has dropped, or what are their feedback?
I think for the modern sports, it has become very competitive for those who are serious, and I must say that it's a sad truth, but these parents, they need to be financially strong to really push their children up. Most of this.
Really?
Not everyone has the capability to groom their children with such in a professional way if they do not have the means to do it actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
How can we address then? What if a child wants to be a star like Nicol David or Lee Chong Wei? If doesn't have that money, can this person come up?
Well, of course, if you are really committed and you really work extra in many ways, many ways, and you show your brightness, and of course you do get the attention. But before that, you really need to challenge on an unequal ground sometimes. I must say.
Okay.
This is where the clubs, state sport association, national sports and schools can come in, because for the lesser privileged child, where their parents don't have financial ability to actually look for coaches, look for actually formal training places where they have to pay, schools, clubs, and sports association can come in and help, because a lot of these are funded or they have sources internally from the club.
Ginger, but there are also another train of thought saying that actually we do have a big pool of youngsters coming through. but there is a situation with selection of athletes. Do you see that as a prevalent problem in a Badminton Association of Malaysia?
Not very common. It's isolated cases, but generally, from my past experience, 36 years in badminton in Malaysia, I think favoritism don't play a big part. Maybe very minor cases here and there, but not common.
What about in squash, Azlan?
I think our pool is far too small to have a selection of. Again, squash is also hindered by the number of players.
Okay.
I believe, I think Chai touched on one student, one sport. It's interesting, the Ministry of Education said that it's an initiative that they will push, but therefore they did not identify which sports that will be in the system. Till today, they haven't disclosed which sports. So I think it's quite important that they disclose the sports and then also put in on what facilities are going to be built. And I think squash needs to be in that system as well, because, I think if it doesn't get through, I think we're going to lose our number of squash players, in the country.
Do you have a statistic to show how many kids at the school play squash?
I've done statistics around just based around my academies. We've got a little bit of an issue, like we've got kids in Kemaman Terengganu. We've got 8 courts there, but we've got about 130, 140 kids playing. That's mathematically just not going to work. The most we can get are 4 kids in a court maximum to just teach them the bare essentials. But mind you, when they get better, it's going to be 2 a court for a period of 3 hours. And it's the same in Kelantan. It's the same in we have Negeri Sembilan. We've got the same in Putrajaya. So I think for us, as a sport, squash, I think it's got to be a joint initiative between the ministry, perhaps the private sector, and also the Ministry of Education. At least cluster schools to start building squash courts, and then I think the National Sports Council to put in good coaches. I think it's got to be very collaborative.
Okay, you said coaches. If we have pool of players, we do not have coaches, it will also not work. What do you all think of the quality of coaches that we have at the grassroots level? Is it enough or more than enough? What's your take on it? Bichin Chai, you can say about our states.
I think in badminton, generally, it's reasonable because the association have actually taken initiative to create and conduct a lot of coaching courses. So, and then teachers training colleges, state, badminton, NTUs, they all come for the coaching. So the basic is not bad. In fact, actually now, the last 5 to 10 years, actually coaching at the grassroots is flourishing. So hopefully this will translate into world-class badminton players in the future. So actually MSN have also an arm on the coaching of sports science, and they work together with BAM on the sports physics of badminton. So it has been active since the last 5 years, and there are plenty of qualified coaches around the country now.
Okay. Chunan, you have an academy, right? How many coaches do you work with? Are you one of the coaches as well? Or?
Yeah, I work with, of course, a few of my partners, Wanwa, Juning, and Chong, and also we have a pool of assistant coaches, around up to 10 to 12 of them.
How do you all keep yourself, you said that you need to progress as coaches as well. So how do you all?
Of course, sometimes during the coaching period, we share our knowledge, and we also share the problem-solving skills on how to get the students to understand certain skills, how to make them, to make it happen. And I think this is one thing which I felt that generally in the sports scene in Malaysia that we kind of lack of is that maybe we should need more forum that we should discuss about the current trend and on the techniques and how we can create a set of basic recognized way of executing certain skills and things like that. So we make it into a set of SOP, so that we can pass it down to every coaches around the country and make it a standard handbook.
Okay, maybe Chin Chai can answer that, whether there is a forum for that after this break. Thank you.